I'm glad to be here. That we've got a lot to talk about with a desert Doppler radar up just to show you that we're not even seeing the cloud cover over the area that we're going to be seeing the Clarion implode. Let me show you the current conditions for the time being at 58 degrees in Las Vegas. A bit of a chill out there as they celebrate the implosion of the Clarion, but the southwest winds not going to be a big concern. Less than 10 miles per hour, and we were discussing that you needed a maximum of 12 knot winds, so around 15 mile per hour winds for this to not go on. Obviously, this will continue. Looks like we are going to be having that implosion. Light winds, the dust really shouldn't be a concern. It should actually stick to the local block area there, guys.
All right, Greg, thank you. You know, we have some great video of these past implosions. If we can get to the Hacienda, that one was actually blown up in 1977. And
97.
Yeah, 1997.
That was a big one. That was a huge spectacle on New Year's Eve, believe it or not. That was actually December 31st, 1996. 1997 rang in with a bang when the Hacienda went down.
That's right, and it actually made room for the Mandalay Bay properties, so that came down. The Mandalay Bay, now open, obviously still part of the Las Vegas Strip, a very big property there. And this is the dunes coming down in 1993. That one went down in flames, and that was really the beginning of a new era, the Strip Mega Resort.
Yes, the dunes implosion was the first that we've seen here on the Strip. The first tower was brought down in 1993. There was a second implosion in 1994. Now in its place is the Bellagio. Of course, Steve Wynn, the originator behind the Bellagio, and the driving force behind many of the first implosions that we saw on the Strip. Now this one on your screen is one of the more recent implosions. It wasn't a full casino implosion. This was the old structure of the Tropicana. It was the oldest wings, the beginning wings, which date back to the 1950s. Those series of rooms were brought down very quietly. They did not advertise this implosion. This was actually posted, this video, to YouTube by one of the few locals who knew about the Tropicana implosion in advance.
That's right, and I believe we have the Frontier now up on your screen as well. A lot of these implosions, as you mentioned, Spencer, are these big public spectacles. The Tropicana, as you mentioned, was something that we saw on YouTube. Not that many people knew about it. And then the Clarion Hotel that's coming down this morning is not a public event. But so many of these become a part of the Las Vegas history, not only the building themselves, but then again, their demolition. Let's go ahead and check in with Don Guevara again, who is standing by live. He has a front row seat to all of this. Don, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, guys. Yeah, I'm getting a little scared, so I put on my mask here so I can breathe when this happens. And I want to show you the plunger. I suppose that if I wanted to, I could end this all right now and sort of, you know, get that building down, but I'd probably get into a lot of trouble. But this is a device that's going to not really trigger it because it's more ceremonial, but this is what they will push when the time comes. We're all kind of waiting. It's like New Year's out here, only there's no countdown really because we don't really know when it's going to happen. But look over here at the side. There are a number of people, about 50 people, VIP kind of party here. They've been feeding us. There's some drinks. It's a very celebratory atmosphere, and people are just waiting for, you know, the big implosion of what's going to happen. This guy says he's going to check to see what's happening. But this is about as close as we can go. There's about a line here, and we're about 200 meters from the Clarion, and they've got all this empty space here. They didn't want us to get any closer. So this is pretty much as close as you can get. But I want to take you guys back up there. Those are the parking structures to some of the hotels. And you can see they look like crows, but they're actually people who are lined up on the different levels waiting to just either watch it with their own eyes or probably, you know, take pictures so they can put it on Facebook, Twitter, and just share with their friends. And they are on any perch that you can see. We've got a bunch of hotels, some apartments, anywhere someone can stand, that's where they are to try to see what's happening. There's some drones flying above us. You know, it's a perfect night to fly a drone. You know, we heard from Greg as far as the wind. We're not feeling anything here. So as far as any dust concerns where we are, you know, fingers crossed I won't have to put this down and put the glasses up. But everyone is staring at the Clarion, and in a matter of when it happens, it's going to take about 12 seconds, guys, to put that thing to a big heaping pile of rubble. Yeah, Jess.
Hey, I'm wondering what the atmosphere is like. You mentioned YouTube and Twitter. Have you talked to a lot of people? Are they tweeting this? Are they connected with their friends that may not be there with you guys this morning?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's only a select group of people who can be here, so they really have a good vantage point. And if you actually go on Twitter, you'll see that they have their own hashtag, Implode the Clarion, something like that. But there's a lot of that going on, and people, you know how it is. Anytime there's something to see, people have their phone up, and there's a lot of activity on Twitter, on Facebook, regarding what's supposed to be happening here. We're a little, past the deadline, and I'm very tempted to just take that plunger and knock it down so we can all see this happen. We've been having a lot of fun out here, in all seriousness.
Don, I'm seeing on Twitter right now from
atmosphere.
I'm seeing on Twitter right now from some of the folks who are also out there alongside you right now that Metro officers are there clearing the area. I guess there are some onlookers, according to some of the people who are posting on Twitter. Metro has found some people who are too close to the blast zone. Again, this is just from Twitter, not confirmed from Metro, and that they are clearing them out ahead of the implosion.
Yeah, several streets blocked off in that area just so people don't get too close, because there are a lot of safety precautions in place right now. As you saw, Dawn and all the other people out there wearing those masks over their face, and then they have those earbuds ready to be put in as soon as the hotel comes tumbling down. We're told the implosion will only last about 11-12 seconds, so this thing will go down quick. But obviously, as we anticipate what's happening, this has been somewhat of a long wait for us. We're hoping that it goes down before 3 o'clock. That's the cutoff. And on your screen right now, you can see the road closures. They last until 3:30 this morning, and a lot of roads there closed in the nearby area.
Yeah, you can see all of those roads, pretty much that entire stretch, that pocket area between the Riviera Hotel and Casino and the Convention Center, and all of those side streets in between are closed, all for this pending implosion, which was scheduled to happen about 13 minutes ago. Again, we're hearing reports that they are clearing the area. We've also heard that 3 a.m. is the cutoff time for this implosion.
That's right. We don't mind waiting because it does build that anticipation, and as we wait for this building to come down, Spencer, let's talk about who is actually going to be pushing that plunger. It's going to be the owner of the building, Lorenzo Dumani, and we have talked to him earlier this week here on Action News, asking him what might become of this property. And there are some rumors that it could be a new resort when this building comes down.
Yes, obviously, being that it's so close to the convention center, the owner has mentioned that, the real estate there is obviously prime. You are accessible to the Strip, you have the convention center there, so obviously this piece of property has been eyed at for quite some time. The Clarion structure coming down momentarily, and again, the possibilities there. Obviously, it sounds like there's going to be some type of structure for tourism, be it a hotel or be it some type of attraction. It's going to be coming soon, and Lorenzo Dumani is there waiting to blow the Clarion up.
Yeah, good morning to everyone, by the way. If you're just joining us now, we are waiting for the Clarion Hotel and Casino to go crashing down in just a few seconds or a few minutes from now. This implosion only lasting a few seconds. And as we take a kind of a wider look, if we can get that wider look of what's happening there, you can really see the prime location that you mentioned, Spencer, with the Link Ferris wheel to the left there on your screen, and the Wynn Resort right behind it. So this is a really great location for whatever goes up next.
Yeah, and looking at that skyline, you see the history of the implosions here in Las Vegas. When you see the link, and this is something that longtime Las Vegans are going to understand, when you see that link structure and the observation wheel, the high roller there, that used to be the O'Shea's parking garage, which was imploded back in 2012, which made room for that. And then you see the Wynn, which, as we mentioned, was once the Desert Inn, imploded back in 2011. So implosions, obviously a very important part of our history, a very important part of our landscape, way to obviously, unfortunately, get rid of some very important parts of Las Vegas history, but these implosions themselves earning their own place as a part of the Las Vegas storied past.
And I believe the Clarion has been empty for some time. It does look beautiful tonight with all of those lights on there. And again, we are just waiting for this to happen any minute now. We've got anchor Don Guevara on the ground for us, standing by. He's watching this and going to cue us in as soon as we hear any word of when this thing will actually actually be coming down. Now, the Clarion has gone by several names in the past. In fact, it opened back in 1970. Again, if you're just joining us, we want to give you a little bit of a history here of what's going on. This thing happened to go up as a building back in 1970. It first started as the Royal Inn. That was its first name. And I guess the owner is speaking right now. We're going to go back and check in with anchor Don Guevara, on the ground right now. Don.
Yeah, I'm here with Lorenzo, and we have an update as to, you've heard about why there's a bit of a delay. Talk to us about that.
Right. Now, we were hoping to start at about between 1:30 and 2:30, but there's apparently 5 people that decided to get within the danger zone, and they're there, and Metro Police are trying to get them out of there. And then once they're removed and it's safe, then we'll go ahead with the implosion.
How exciting is this for you? We haven't seen this since 2007. You're kind of starting this new Vegas trend again.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. This is the 13th implosion in Vegas, and it's my first one. I've never been to one other than watching them on TV. So I'm, hopefully in the next couple minutes we can get this going, and I'll be really excited once it's over.
Who's here? Who's in the crowd? Who'd you invite tonight?
No, we got a lot of family, friends, people like that, and so it's good.
Yeah, go ahead, guys.
Hey, Don, will Lorenzo give us a preview of what is to come? Now that the Clarion is coming down, I know he's been a little tight-lipped, but maybe now that you've got him live, we could put a little pressure on him and he can give us a little preview of what's going to be there.
I've been asked to ask you again, what's going to be there once the Clarion goes down? Tell us here first.
Well, I can tell you what's going to be right here where we're standing. We're in the convention center parking lot. The expansion of the convention center, from what I understand, is planned for here. And you've got Resort World going at the old Stardust site.
What about at the old Clarion site?
We'll do something, hopefully, that's really nice, that complements the area and works well with the entire area and surroundings.
Last thing, if we don't make the 3 a.m. cutoff, what's going to happen? Seriously, do you know?
I honestly don't. I know legally it has to be between 1:30 a.m. and 3:30. I think 3:30.
Okay.
So I think we've got a little leeway.
Okay.
But I honestly don't know. This is first time for me.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Lorenzo, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. So yeah, you heard the delay. Some 5 people.
I need one of those masks, by the way.
You can have mine.
Very cool.
There you go. I might need it back though. So yeah, so 5 people across the street getting into the danger zone, and it doesn't surprise me because when we were out here doing our story at 11 o'clock and even earlier, everyone was talking about this, and people were walking by. They were taking pictures. And they wanted to know how they could watch it. I told them it wasn't open to the public, but people still wanted to find places to do it. And so I think they're trying to get as close as they can. We're so secluded that we can't see what Metro is doing. We see some flashing lights in the distance. And, we talked about all the street closures that are happening in the area. So no surprise that some people want to get as close as they can. But for the most part, I guess legally, if you will, this is as close as you're going to get, which is about the 200 to 300 meters that we are from this hotel. So fingers crossed that they can get this thing done before the 3:30 deadline or time limit cutoff period. So we'll see.
Don, thank you, and thank you for pressing him on that question for us. Obviously, Lorenzo remaining a little tight-lipped there, but we are going to continue keeping our eyes on this. Again, that Clarion implosion could be coming down any minute. Again, Lorenzo pretty much confirming there what we were hearing and seeing on Twitter, that there were a couple of bystanders there, a couple of trespassers, if you will, who were too close to the blast site, and they are clearing them off before they can bring this building down. But again, Jessica, we have a time limit on this.
That's right, but obviously safety is the utmost concern. So Metro doing everything they possibly can to get those people removed from that area so we can go ahead with this. So highly anticipated, that big group of people, Don saying about 50 people in that private area, and then you saw all those people standing by on the garages, in the nearby areas, in the safe zones where they can actually see this thing come down, because as we've been talking about this morning, the implosions here in Las Vegas are big parties. They are a big to-do and part of the Las Vegas history as well. When these buildings go up, we take note, but when they come down, we also like to celebrate a new beginning, end to an era. But it's always a good time here in Las Vegas. Las Vegas knows how to do a party right, and this morning no different. Again, we are waiting. We have initially thought that it was a 3 o'clock window to get this thing down, but we heard there from the owner, Lorenzo, that possibly until 3:30. We have some leeway here on getting this thing imploded.
Those road closures obviously are in effect until 3:30, so I think that obviously has a huge limit on the time. Again, they're going to want to open the roads back up at some point. On our screen right now, you see we have our crews all across the valley in anticipation for this Clarion implosion. They are getting ready for this structure to be brought down. We have 6 different cameras pointing at the building for you. We are getting ready. We are anticipating this blast. 4,400 explosives are in place right now.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And the preparation for this morning has been months in the making. The Clarion Hotel is what it's known as right now, but you may know some of the old names: the Royal Inn, the Royal Americana, the Paddle Wheel, the Debbie Reynolds Hollywood Hotel, or the Greek Isles. So this building has gone through a lot of changes, a lot of name changes, and it's 45 years old.
Yes, Debbie Reynolds, of course, had big plans for this property when she purchased it back in the early 90s. She had planned on storing her huge collection of Hollywood memorabilia there. Of course, those plans never took shape, and she eventually, along with the hotel, had to declare bankruptcy a few years later. Reynolds ultimately holding an auction for much of that memorabilia here in Las Vegas over the last couple of years, selling that collection. And then the hotel eventually became, after the foreclosure process, of the Greek Isles.
That's right.
And then ultimately, as you see it today, the Clarion, which closed several months back and has sat vacant for quite some time.
So right now we're hearing that the courtyard has been actually cleared in that area. So we're starting to get things underway. We're hoping that the countdown has resumed there to get this building imploded. It's going to be only about 11-12 seconds. Our crew's standing by. You see there, this is where the party is happening on the ground there. Our camera panning around, and then we have crews all over the valley from different vantage points as we watch this building about to go down. We are standing by. It could be any minute now. And Spencer, you mentioned the preparation for getting this building imploded. There are thousands of explosives that are actually put into the wall, and that's how this thing will be tumbling down. And I'm told we're only about 2 minutes away. So here we go.
That's right. Yeah, the countdown is coming up. This is a 200-room, 12-story hotel located between the Las Vegas Strip and the Convention Center in the shadow of the Riviera and the Wynn and Encore hotels. We are about to see some history on the Las Vegas Strip
and
tonight.
You see those showgirls there with the owner, Lorenzo Dumani. They are getting ready to, any minute now, push that plunger and the building will go down. So again, doing this in Las Vegas style, you can see again those showgirls there and a lot of people on the ground with champagne in hand, ready to toast as a new era for this property begins. Right now, we're gonna go ahead and keep waiting.
Yeah, this is a month in the making for Lorenzo Dumani, so I imagine that a couple more minutes don't matter much. Again, we're hearing that this countdown is already in effect, and we are going to, do you want to send it down over live now to get a listen?
Check in with Don Guevara. He is there on the ground for us for Action News this morning. Don.
Yeah, guys, so you can see the showgirls are there. They're there with Lorenzo, so that's a really good sign. We heard that the courtyard is clear, and we're about a minute or so away from the implosion. He's standing in front of the plunger, and of course, everyone has their phones up, because when this thing happens, if you blink or sneeze, you might miss it. It's supposed to only last about 12 seconds. So, you know, it's been an interesting evening of some delays, but for the most part, a very happy atmosphere here. You heard I hear it clear. All right, hold on a sec. All right, so yeah, it's his first implosion. He's very excited, and you know, it's a long time coming for Vegas, because like we've all been saying, we haven't seen one of these since like 2007. So this is going to be a pretty exciting night to kick off a pretty fun tradition that we've seen here in the past. 1 minute we're hearing. So the countdown is hopefully underway. The streets are hopefully clear, and hopefully they will stay that way. And yeah, we're just waiting to see when this happens, but less than a minute.
Mentioning and finding out just moments ago from Lorenzo Dumani, whom you see on your screen there, that there were a couple of stragglers. Let's get it back out now to the toast. Now that the streets are clear, we're just seconds away from the building being brought down.
Royal Inn, Royal Americana,
All right, so they're making a toast now to all the previous owners and the previous incarnations of the Clarion. So new beginnings is the toast.
You ready?
And here we go. He's going to the plunger.
Nine, 8, 7,
6, 5.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, here comes the dust.
Run!
Wow.
That is a sight. Very impressive.
You can see just that giant cloud of dust. And for those just joining us, the Clarion implosion of the Clarion Hotel and Casino just completed. That went down in a mere 10 seconds. As Don mentioned, if you sneezed, blinked, it was gone.
Yeah.
And part of the landscape here in Las Vegas just destroyed in a matter of seconds. And we can actually feel it here and hear it here in the studios. Because
We're
not
about
too
a mile
far.
down the road on Desert Inn from where this building was just imploded. And as Jessica was saying, we could feel it. I actually reached over and I said, you can feel that rumbling here in the studio when the building, a couple seconds after we saw the implosion happening. Again, more than 40 years of history in that building, but all just brought down to the ground in a matter of seconds. Greg, look at all that dust floating in the air right now. Talk about the wind conditions. What does this dust mean right now? Obviously, you were telling us a little earlier that as far as implosion conditions go, this is pretty ideal.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid, honestly, forecast for an implosion. We're dealing with very light winds here across Las Vegas, on top of that clear skies as well. So most of that dust is going to stay within that city block, around the Riviera, around the convention center. I've actually got Desert Doppler up, and I'm trying to see if we can track actually on Desert Doppler the dust from it. But right now, we haven't been seeing it pop up just yet on our Desert Doppler radar. Notice we are at 2:58 in the morning. I think once we get into about 3 a.m., it may pop up on our Desert Doppler radar system, that dust cloud. That being said, let's talk about the current conditions. And we're now dealing with a south-southwest wind, still less than 10 miles per hour. We may see a little bit of movement with this dust, but overall, we're looking at very good conditions to keep it basically within that city block. Guys?
Greg, thank you. We want to go ahead and check in with Don Guevara, who is on the ground for us. He had the front row seat of all of this. And Don, I see you have the mask on there.
He looks pretty clean, though.
Yeah, tell us how it felt there and what the sound was like.
Look at this, guys. So
Amazing.
we're lucky we avoided this giant dust cloud that went to the other side here. And when that building imploded, it was so loud. There were a series of booms, and so I can imagine now why they wanted us to put these earplugs. And if you look, now that the dust is cleared, there's the Clarion, just a pile of rubble. It took a matter of 12 seconds for that to happen, and we all thought that we were pretty much going to be in a giant dust storm, but luckily whatever wind is out here pushed it in a different direction. So I feel sorry. We actually got a photographer and some crews down there, so hopefully they have their masks. But all of the people here at the party, all the people behind us in the parking garages, they avoided this this giant dust cloud here. Here's the replay of how it went down again. Again, a very loud boom, series of booms, kind of like a fireworks show, like the finale. And then all of a sudden that building just started to crumble, it fell, and then that big, massive pile of dust that just, flew across the parking lot. It's now headed right towards the convention center, guys.
Hey,
so
Don,
it's
a quick
a pretty
question for
incredible
you.
sight out here.
As we look at the rubble that's left over, if we can get a shot of that again, right behind you, part of that building actually did not go all the way down where those numbers and that website advertisement is, and Is there a reason, or do you know if they're going to go ahead
Still
and
smoldering. You can see it.
Yeah, you can see it smoldering, but it didn't go all the way down.
4,400 pieces of dynamite, and I don't know if those pieces didn't go off or what happened here, but we'll have to see what happens in the next coming hours or later on today. And that part's going to have to go down too. So I don't know if that was part of the master plan. I think we all expected it to be one giant pile, but as you can see, there's a stubborn sign there. Of course, the only part that's left is a sign for his company, 305ccd.com. That's Lorenzo's company name. So maybe that was all a ploy to, advertisements. But we'll have to see. But that's a good point, Jess. Good eye there, because, we were expecting a giant pile, and there's still one piece left.
Well, we got the ad still
we'll
up
see.
there. That's okay. All right. Hey, Don, thank you so much for being on the ground there for us. I know the party is wrapping up, so we'll let you have a little fun there at the end of your night/early morning for us here. We're not done blowing things up quite yet, though, Spencer.
Can you believe it? We had to wait 8 years for this, and now we've got another one coming up in just a few days.
That's right. Another implosion actually set for Sunday. The Gramercy, it's a stalled project on the Southwest Valley. That one is also going to be coming down here in just a few days. The unfinished 9-story building located near Russell and the 215, and that implosion on Sunday will be set for 8 a.m. So not quite so early as we saw this morning.
No, and not on the Strip, but you can, of course, count on Action News to be there and bring it to you. GMLV, a weekend edition, is scheduled for that time, so our crews will be in place.